Hello crocheters! So this is take 2 on our second chubby skunk video because the first one I uploaded had no video and no audio for whatever reason. But I think we're all squared away and we should be able to do this one more time. So working on the chubby skunk pattern has kind of felt like, I don't know, like inventing the light bulb. Like I'm finding all of the wrong ways to do it. But that's part of the process. So here goes. So last week when we left off, I had the head shape I was pretty happy with. And I had started on the body working from the bottom up and was just about to switch to the white stripe. And so this is attempt number 2, right? Well, I'll show you attempt number 3 here in a second. I've actually been able to work on these quite a bit this week, but I just feel like I haven't really made progress, which is frustrating. Anyway, so we switched to the white color here. I thought that one row of white wasn't quite enough, so I ended up doing 2. But what that left me with was when I wanted to close up the body, I didn't actually have any black. So I just used some black yarn in my finishing it up, where you just kind of like, essentially like lacing a shoe. You kind of go, you have your open single crochets, and then you take a strand of black yarn and take the 2 ends and just kind of work it back and forth, and then just kind of tie it off, cinch it up, tie it off. Which this is the way I want to close it off, but I want there to be more black. I think it's just not quite enough. So that's something I want to change on the body. Also, I don't love how I have the opening from the neck, so where the head sits, it's not maybe the most ideal. So that's something I want to change going forward. And I did change actually in the second one, or the third one, so I'll show you that here in a second. Other things I did maybe a little differently on this one. It's hard to tell because it's black on black, but I have much smaller eyes because when I was looking at pictures of skunks, I noticed they do have like pretty small beady eyes, but they're still pretty adorable. So I went with small eyes, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do for a nose yet. Whether I want to, because doing a black nose seems pretty silly because you're not going to really be able to see it. The black eyes you can kind of see because we have the highlights, but we don't usually do a highlight on a nose. So I'm trying to decide whether I do a brown nose so you can kind of see it, or whether I do a pink nose, because when they're little, like some of them have pink noses. I'm not quite sure on that one. And then the last, well, okay, yeah. More things actually. Talking about the head. So I really like the white stripe I've got going here, and the white patch here. But when it comes to attaching to the neck, essentially, skunks in reality, their white patch kind of tapers at the neck and then it goes up here into the head. And so I've got a disconnect. So I figured I would just make it bigger, obviously, going forward. So, yeah, so let's talk about that. So this was my second attempt at the head. I don't have the eyes on yet, but it's basically all the same. I do have a brown nose pinned on because I was trying to figure out what I want to do. And so I went with the back. I made it a much wider white spot, but I'm actually afraid maybe it's too wide. I know, the finicky nature of just trying to get these things perfect, or at least to where I'm happy with them, right? So I'm afraid this might be a little bit too big. We'll see. Got to attach it and yeah, see. Then lastly, on our second version of the skunk, something that kind of bugged me is, well, first of all, the tail is just bad. I tried really hard to get some like nice straight lines, and it is all over creation. It is not a nice, clean anything. Like I like the shape I've got going on here. Like I think this is nice, but yeah, the color transitions are terrible. And I like how here on this side, we have, like in our color transitions, we have kind of this little bit of a jagged edge. I mean, skunks are kind of furry. They're not, you know, if we're like comparing them to cats, they're not a short hair cat. They would be like a long haired cat, even like maybe especially long hair. You know, so I like that we kind of have this jagged edge, kind of gives that feeling of maybe some texture to the fur. But with the color, the way I did the color changes here, I don't think it quite works. And this one was worked in the round this way, versus being worked, this one is worked in the round starting at the bottom up, if that makes sense. So we start with black, 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 and then we have like a stripe of white, whereas on the tail, we would have like white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, you know, so it's, it's just different. And something I want to play with a little bit more is trying to have the same sort of color transition that we have here in the tail. So, attempt number 3. So I already showed you guys the head. So this is the body. I thought that the white stripe on this one was just too much, but a single crochet layer wasn't enough. So I did a half double crochet row of white all the way around, and I'm pretty happy with that. And then we've got the head here. I did change how the neck is sitting, so it sits a little bit lower here, so that when the head goes on, it's going to sit forward more instead of like perched on top, if that makes sense. Here, I'll move my hands up. So it's going to sit a little bit more like this versus right there on top. So I like that. And so then if we take a look at the back, it's looking a little bit more right, where we've got the, you know, the white in the head meets down here to the back of the neck. But I didn't quite get the white stripes to taper up, you know, along the back of the neck. So I think what I need to do is on this last row of the black, on either side, have these maybe first 2 single crochets actually be white instead of black. So that's something I'm going to need to change in the pattern. And I might be able to just like undo this stitching that I've done, you know, pull out that row and fix it and rewrite it, which would be faster than, you know, crocheting an entire new body. So that's probably what I will try. We'll see how it goes. So this is kind of where we are on that, right? And then I told you about the tail that I'm trying to figure out. And this is a rough first attempt. But on this one, instead of working in a spiral around this way, I decided to make a chain and then kind of work around this way, hoping that I could, you know, get more of a consistent look in the color changes, if that makes sense. This is too big. I think I've got to work on my proportions because they're not there yet. That, and it's maybe a little too wide and flat. Like there's still some work that needs to be done here. You know, but the idea would be that it would sit something like this on the back. So we'd have the head, the tail, the body, something like this. Obviously I don't have eyes on this one yet, but like I'm making progress, but I'm just not that happy with it yet. You know, I feel like the design I'm going for is kind of evading me, which is a little frustrating. But I chalk that up to like another, I don't know, one of two things. Either this is just a more challenging pattern than I thought it would be, which is fine, or getting back into designing is just taking me a while, and that's also fine. Like I will get there. I am highly considering maybe the next couple days, just like setting it aside and working on the baby penguin lovey pattern, because I haven't even started on that. And maybe as I kind of work through that, some of the answers will come to how I'm going to make this chubby skunk look cute, you know, look the way that I want it to. So yeah, that is that. Thank you guys for your patience. Sorry about that first video that didn't have audio. And yeah, I'm excited to hopefully have some good things to share with you on the chubby skunk. Maybe we'll just have a penguin lovey to show next week. We will see. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing well and take care.